Yeah, big win for us at home, led by the sixth largest crowd ever at Kid Brewer. So super appreciative of our fans. They did a great job. That was really impactful, especially at the end of the game, and really the start of the game and the end of the game. And they stayed with us every snap of the game. Had a lot of people step up in that game and started really fast. Jumped out to 17-0 lead. Let those guys back into the game, but finished the game the way we needed to finish it. And how else would you want to win a game on a goal outside of a goal line stand down there? So awesome win. We got a lot to improve. We got a huge task ahead of us this week with Georgia State.
We'll open up now for questions for our media. Please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. Our first questions will come from Adam Miller.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, you just kind of touched on it, specifically the goal line stand, but your defense's performance in the game, and even after the safety to get that late pick to really seal the deal, but just overall the defense in the game and how much of an impact they had, and the difference that they probably made versus maybe the offense in the game for you.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of improvement. We gave up 358 yards of passing, and there were way too many explosive plays, especially the second and third quarter. And it was, it was hard to watch for a little while that way. But when we got inside the red zone, and I think they got down there 5 times. Defense really stepped up and bowed their neck there. And at the end of the game, you sit there and you got 4 plays inside the 4-yard line to win the game when it matters the most, and it kind of erases all the stats on those things. Now it's 2 weeks in a row we've given up way too many explosives, 300 yards passing 2 games in a row, too many explosive passes. But it's an area we got to fix and get improved. But when it mattered the most, they bowed their necks and stepped up.
And then, Coach, my follow up. I just had a question about your kicker, your freshman kicker Dominic DeFreitas, and just he made a couple pretty big kicks in that game, the 49-yarder in the first quarter, but then also the one at the end of the game or late in the third quarter. They put you guys up 6 and gave you a touchdown advantage. Just from him and his confidence and your guys' ability to how it makes you feel as a coach knowing that you guys have a chance to make a kick if it's even beyond 40 yards potentially in a tight game.
Yeah, it definitely gives you. We have a lot of confidence in Dom, and what I love about Dom is even when he missed the field goal, the one field goal, he responds the right way, and it shows you his mental makeup, which is to me is he's a talented guy. We knew that when we recruited him, and we watched him kick, and it was like minus 14-degree weather in a practice, and watched him, and knew he was gonna be a good fit here, but. To be able to miss a kick and respond and come back and hit the next one, that's huge. And that's what gives you more confidence than anything, just because you know that he's wired right. And there was no doubt in our minds when I was kicking the field goal, it was like, hey, he's going to respond the right way.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. Another defensive effort. You guys hold them under 100 yards. What was kind of the game plan, and where did you kind of see your defense really step up there to hold them under 100?
You talking about the rushing?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, just our style of play, we're always gonna be +1 in the box, and so we're always going to be a team that does a good job stopping the run, just because we're going to overpopulate the line of scrimmage. Our work has to come on the RPOs. That when you're +1, that's why the passing yards were 358 yards, is because there were too many of those things where we're playing with a maxed out box, and our RPO players and our Apex players we have to do a better job in those situations of playing the RPOs, the second level of the defense. We give up too many nakeds, crossing routes, and those things. So a lot of area improvement right there, but we're definitely happy with how we're stopping the run.
Let's go over to Brady.
Yeah, Coach, I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you see when you put on the Georgia State tape. What challenges are going to present themselves for you guys on Saturday?
Yeah, actually a talented roster. You go through, you see guys, a couple D linemen that are really twitchy, linebacker that's got real twitch, or a wide receiver that's a really, really good player. We just gave up 173 yards to the guy at Oregon State, so I'm sure at that point they're going to be looking at this, thinking to themselves like, hey, they're going to have opportunities there. So huge challenge in front of us going on the road. It's going to be a long bus ride to Atlanta, 5-hour bus ride to get ready to play a very good team.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time today.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, back at work today, obviously, we got to put last week's game behind us. didn't play to our standard, and we got a chance to finally play at home. We haven't been at home since the East Carolina game. It's been a month, so I know our staff and our players are excited about the opportunity about playing at home.
We'll open up now for questions for our media. Please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. Our first questions will come from Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach Beck, not the result you wanted against Old Dominion, but what were some of the things you felt their defense specifically? Obviously, everyone's going to look at the offensive numbers that, you know, Old Dominion was able to accumulate, but what did you see with your offense on the field, their defense's challenges that they really made difficult on you guys throughout the game?
You know, I think, and you're right about that. Obviously, it wasn't the outcome, but they did a really good job of changing, right? What I mean by that is, our system here is very similar, but we are in the infant stages of it. They're in their third year running it. And so you can see the advancement in terms of they played bear, they played 4 down front, they played cover 3, they played man, they played cover 2. They did a lot more things defensively than, I don't want to say that they shown, because they shown some of those. It was a lot more specific, but against us, it was almost every play was something different. And so I think it was really hard for us to find a rhythm because they were constantly in something different, right? So to figure out how to attack them was difficult. They did a really good job of that.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned coming back home. How good does it feel to return back to, South Carolina in the friendly confines? But also, what do you see out of a ULM team, and how do you guys kind of match up with them?
Yeah, so obviously coming at home is always great, right? Our fan base, our student population, our fans are very loyal. They love the Teal Nation, loves the Chanticleers. So we're excited about having the opportunity to be at home, and winning on the road's hard everywhere. And playing ULM, they're very well coached. Coach Vincent's done a remarkable job. I have a ton of respect for him and their program and what he's done. They're not going to beat themselves, and unfortunately for us, we've beaten ourselves quite a bit this year. But they're not going to really turn the ball over. They're going to play sound defensively. They're going to run the football. They're gonna be a physical team and play with a lot of effort. So it's a very, very good football team, and rightfully so, like every team in our league is, and anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Any final questions for Coach Beck? All right, thank you, Coach. Appreciate the time today.
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, went to Northwestern. Obviously disappointed in the loss, but just ton of opportunities. Loved how we started the game. Drove down the field, went up 7-0, then they answer. They answer. We go right back down the field and miss a field goal. I thought that was a critical moment just to try to take that 10-7 lead, and then they go back down and score and get the 2-point conversion. Then we drive back down in the red zone and have a really good drive going, and we didn't convert. And then they go back, and then it's 18-7 at the half. I thought we had an opportunity to at least make it 18-10 or 18-17. But when you're playing a team, like Northwestern, they don't make a whole lot of mistakes. They're very efficient. You've got to capitalize on your opportunities, and we didn't in so many situations. But thought our kids played their tails off. They fought to the end. I just thought our lack of execution in critical situations offensively and third downs defensively, I felt like we won first and second down. We had 17 second and 9 pluses. And our goal was, to get them into second long and third long, and we did, but they got out of it. And, being 11 of 16 on third downs, doesn't matter who you play, you're going to have a hard time, winning. And we didn't get them off the field on third downs, and we didn't stay on the field on third downs. So I thought that was the difference in the game.
We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. Start off with Adam Miller.
Coach, you knew coming into the game that Northwestern, they have a propensity for liking to throw the ball with the veteran quarterback that they have. Where were some of the places? Obviously third down was downs where they were able to execute, but uh, in what elements did you feel they really took advantage of you guys in the passing game specifically?
They really just beat us one-on-ones. It was their receiver beat our DB and the quarterback made a good throw. When you're trying to, and especially like there was a 3rd and 14, there was a 3rd and 11, there was a 3rd and 17, and they got 18. It was disappointing that we couldn't get back there and we didn't rattle him, and then when they were able to hold up, and give themselves times, I thought, the quarterback Preston, I thought he made some great throws. The receivers ran some great routes, and at the end of the day, they executed those critical situations. In the first drive, we're up 7-0, and they convert 4 third downs, 1 3rd and 14, and a 4th down on that 13-play drive. And that's 5 opportunities to get them off with us a 7-0 lead. But we didn't take advantage of those opportunities, and we've got to get better on third downs, obviously.
Let's go to Billy.
Hey, coach. Not the result you wanted, but looking forward, going on the road, back into Sun Belt play. What do you see from the matchup with Coastal Carolina coming up this weekend?
Man, I see a good coach team, man. You look at them defensively, man. They are tough. They're physical. They're fast. They play hard. They've got a great scheme. Their guys, just relentless. They just play at one style. So very impressed. Very impressed defensively. Offensively, I think that the biggest thing that's happened to them is, with the quarterback situation, but you see the talent. I think they're really good at running back. I think their offensive line and tight ends are tough. I think the thing that they've, as any team, is a quarterback is once they get some consistency there, and that's tough when you've had, some injuries and the next guy up. We went through it. We've all went through it. But this is a good football team. Coach Beck does a good job. He's, as we all have, we've had some tough breaks sometimes. And at the end of the day, what do you do with it? We've had a lot of tough breaks. So, I see a team that is sitting there and has got everything in front of them and is extremely well coached, and they play very hard. And we know that at home we've got our hands full.
Go back over to Adam.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you about your running back, Braylon McReynolds. Obviously a little bit tougher to get him involved when you guys, you need to get a lot of points fast, and it's harder to move the ball on the ground. But just what you've seen from him and his opportunities that he'll have in conference play as you guys jump back into it to, really get the ground game going for you guys again, since he's a pretty exciting spark plug for you for your offense.
He's been very consistent all year, every day in practice. He's got a good combination of speed and power. He's got great vision and change of direction. He's a physical back for his size, and he's just had a great, first couple games leading into it. The strength of Northwestern, obviously was their front and box, and we wanted to be able to get on the perimeter a little bit. We wanted to be able to, not necessarily beat Bam up in that game. And we felt like we moved the ball really efficiently there in the first half. We had great drives, and moved the ball well. We just didn't punch it in when we got in that low, that high red fringe area. But at the end of the day, we've been super excited about Bam and his progress, his focus and mentality, and now that we get into conference play, shoot, that was a big game. Once they got up on us there 35-7 or whatever, it was an opportunity for us to get some young guys in and get some backups in, because the conference play is what matters, and what we look forward to, when that game was out of hand, is let's get some of our other guys some reps, let's get them some experience, and then let's get ready to get into conference play.
Let's go to Billy.
Yeah, coach, it's actually perfect. You kind of opened up that question. Wanted to talk about one of those young guys, Landon Graves, just kind of what you saw of him and where you really think he can develop, moving forward through the rest of the conference slate.
As you get into it, and I think some of us are already experiencing it, and you can even look at, a Coastal Carolina or a Troy, you're back up getting reps. and getting minutes is priceless. And unfortunately, we're down a lot in the fourth, but it's a great time for him to get out there and run the offense. And for him, because you've always got to protect the team, because you're one play away from that guy being in. And it was just an opportunity. And I thought he went out there and, ran the offense and made some great plays. He made some great throws. He pulled the ball down. He can really run. He's fast, he's tough, he's strong. So it was just an opportunity for Landon to get our backup some experience.
Thanks, Coach Vincent. Appreciate the time today.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, a good win. Not our best football. Obviously, in the first half, second half was significantly better. Just got a lot to work on that we'll continue to do. Each game, you want to continue to just take steps forward. And I thought at times we did, and at times we did not. So we got a lot to clean up, and we're excited for this opportunity to come back home against another team with a bye. So thank you guys for the schedule setup, and just excited to get back here with our fans and have a chance to play back here in Bridgeforth.
We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you to ask those questions. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you about it was late first quarter into the second quarter, that 18-play drive you guys had, and you had the two fake punts, but just what that, while it didn't turn into points, obviously Georgia State made the stop on the 18th play of the drive. What you guys wanted, out of that possession that made you really feel like you needed to go for it on those two what some might have thought were punt attempts, but what made you make the decision on both times to try to continue the drive?
Because we wanted to continue the drive, and we wanted points and we wanted to continue the drive. Honestly, it was just a look that we had, and it was just where we ended up. It wasn't anything heroic or anything along those lines. It was just a look that we had that we felt like we could do something with. So we wanted to do that.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to ask you about the defense in the second half of that game. Obviously, pitching the shutout, and the offense starting to come together, and you guys moving the ball well. Just what you really liked about what your defense did in that half of the game.
Yeah, well, I thought that they were able to get them off track, at times and create a couple negative plays, which is always helpful. And I thought we just played a lot better. We settled in quite a bit with our coverages. We settled in quite a bit with, just our ability to diagnose the run and stop the run. And then also I thought, our pressure on the quarterback was really good too. So I thought we were able to put it together defensively. We understood the game we were in, at that point in time. And, screen game showed up quite a bit. And I thought we were able to knock that down, which was really good. And I thought, again, it was crucial that we were able to do that because we had to get the ball back to the offense. We knew, they were playing really good coverage. They're obviously, like I said in last Sunday, that they're a very good football team. Despite the record, they're a very good football team, and they'll win games for sure in this league. They're coached well. They do a really good job. So we knew that we needed to hold on to every possession we can, get stops, and then get the ball back to our offense. And again, we leaned on the offensive line, and we leaned on the tight ends and the running backs, and they delivered.
We'll go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. Kind of building off of that with your defense, you held them to under 40 yards from scrimmage rushing the ball. How big was that in allowing your offense to really kind of take over, but really just that physicality that you've been talking about all year building up to this point?
Yeah, well, that's, really what we want our identity ultimately to be, is that we want to be able to run the ball when everybody knows we need to run the ball. And, I think that is something our offensive line has done a phenomenal job of. Our coaches do a good job of preparing them for the looks that they're going to see and understanding the leverage on the blocks and what plays work and don't. And a lot of it, some of it is checked at the line. And I thought that Alonzo did a really good job. And I thought Jordan and Wayne, close to 100 yards for each of them. And, they each probably have 2 runs in there that if they just see it a little bit differently, could have broke really big. And that's what we were kind of chasing the whole day, was we had things we liked and we had opportunities, and we just, on 2 different ones for each of those guys, just missed an opportunity. And I thought about when it mattered the most, they played very physical and played hard up front.
Go with your follow-up, Billy.
Thanks, Sam. Then just following it up, A big win, a conference win. Sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes you have to just do a little bit better than the other team. What do you think the resiliency of this team and that they've shown in that game kind of looks forward to the rest of the season?
Well, yeah, and I said it after the game, but I think that that's a game last year we probably don't win. You know, we find a way to just not be able to pull it out. And I thought our special teams, you know, were really good. It was a complimentary game, and it was a full team effort every which way. We were not, you know, juggernauts by any means on the offensive side of the ball, but at the same point in time, we did enough to win that game. And then I just thought our special teams put us in situations that flipped fields and gave us opportunities. So I think as a full team, you know, and especially with a lot of new guys, like everybody has, so it's not anything different than any other team in here. But at the same point in time, you know, to come together and understand the complementary nature of this game and that everybody has a part, regardless of if you may not love being a gunner and that being your only role on special teams, you still do it to the best of your ability. And I watched our guys do that and have that resiliency and, you know, fight through that first half, which was sloppy in a lot of ways, and come out in the second half and you have 1 5-yard penalty and that's it after what happened in the first half, you know, certainly stood out to me as we're a different team than what we were a year ago. And we got to continue to do that as we go into this weekend.
Go back over to Adam.
Hey, Coach Chesney, I want to turn the page for you now to this week. You guys are going to get an early home game, but an earlier home game against the Louisiana team coming off a bye. You know, they've made some quarterback changes, but what are some things that you guys need to be ready for to be able to execute at a high level against them?
Just a complete football team. You know, they are a complete football team in every sense of the word. You know, their ability to run the football. This number 3 and 7 are problems. You know, they are really good. And then you add in the quarterback run game now and his ability to throw the ball on the run, but also pull it down, you know, when he has to, and make some very heroic plays. That definitely stands out. Their offensive line is really good. Their receiver group just does a great job. And then you get over to special teams and they're disciplined. They're well coached. You know, they are threats every which way you look at it. And then their defense, you know, they're as aggressive as any defense will probably play. And they have very capable football players. And that number 0 up front is an issue. You know, there's a lot of really good football players on that team, and they play really, really hard. So it's going to take, you know, a lot for us to, you know, be able to, you know, defend this place and attack them the way that we intend to.
Thanks, Coach Chesney. Appreciate the time today.
All right. Thank you guys. Billy, Adam, great job. I did this first time I listened was last week. I listened to all the other coaches' interviews, and you guys know your stuff, and to dive deep into every game and have like meaningful questions. Good work by you guys.
First, I'd like to congratulate JMU on a victory coming to our place. Thought we played well in spurts, played very sloppily on offense, and had a costly offside penalty at the end of the game that allowed them to end the game without having to try for 4th and 1. Got to correct the mistakes. So all going back to the details. But I thought our guys were in a great spirits considering today had a really quick, fast practice. Kind of introduced App State. We'll dive deeper into them as the day goes on, and got to have a typical physical Tuesday practice. But today was all about fundamentals, really stressing the details of the things we're missing and why we're missing those things. And we play a part in that as coaches. Some of our offensive play calls, the length of the calls, and having our O-line kind of sit on the line of scrimmage for too long. So we got to address those things and make it a benefit for us and not a deficit.
We'll open up now for questions for our media. Please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach McGee, I just asked Coach Chesney a similar question, but I wanted to go back to the 2 fake punts in the on the same drive, on the 18-play drive, but you guys still had the resolve to get the stop inside your red zone. You know, and the turnover on downs, just what that did for the confidence of your team and ultimately your defense as you guys went through the rest of the game. But even though that was such a time-consuming, grueling, physically demanding possession for them.
Yeah, defense really bowed their necks. Got to do better on special teams. Had a guy to be there to make a tackle at the sticks. Their tight end did a good job of breaking a tackle, creating that play on the special teams fake, and the same thing with the second fake. Caden Atkins lost contain, and if he just keeps contained, we got guys coming from the inside, and the 15-yard probably wouldn't happen, but very ballsy and great execution by JMU. Thought that was a huge momentum, but our defense did create the stop. I do think 18-play drive does tax you from a physical standpoint, and that's what it cost us. It cost us possessions, so we didn't get a chance to operate with more possessions because of those two special team fakes. So that limited our offense. I thought our offense was in a good flow before the fakes too. So it really changed the momentum in that half. But good call by JMU, and we got to execute better.
Let's go over to Brady next.
Yeah, I guess on the running game, there's really no way around it when I guess you can't get that inside dive going. But do you, at this point, trying to switch up the personnel, or you try to keep throwing new looks just to see if something sticks to open stuff up? Or I guess, how do you approach it 5 games into the season, still kind of struggling to establish the run game like you'd want?
Yeah, still goes back to the opponents. Very tough opponents that are very stingy versus the run, but at the same time, we're not executing, and we got to do better as coaches in the run game and the run game plan. And sometimes the passing game has to open up the run game, and we had opportunities in the passing game, I thought, to make some big plays down the field. We didn't capitalize on those plays. So we got to do better as coaches with the organization, the play calling, and putting our guys in situations where we can be more successful. And then when the opportunities are granted, we got to take advantage of it. I mean, TJ pulled the ball and should have handed the ball off, which would probably been a big gain, and we didn't get any points off of that drive when Ted broke a tackle and got to the red area. We kind of just stumbled and stomped our toes a couple of times. The back losing the ball, looking at the defense. Then we get a holding penalty on the next call. So now we're out of the red zone, deep in the field goal try, but just a lack of execution in all parties. And we got to turn the page and look forward, because we got a tough App State team coming here. I know the history of the series, and it's time for us to try to make history. They have a very good football team. Defense is playing well. I think the quarterback, J.J. Cole, who was kicking coach's son, so he's been involved in football a long time, has a big arm. He has mobility. They do some quarterback runs with him. The receiver that came back added a spark against Oregon State. He had a great game. I think he had 4 catches for 150 or so yards. Rashad Devinion, Georgia kid, which App State has a lot of Georgia kids on their roster. That's going to come in here and really try to play well. And I think they got the best receiving car we've seen on our level. They got 4 guys that's over 6'3". Then the one slot from I think Austin P, very dynamic. He's a dynamic punt returner. He's very good with the ball in his hands. So they have a very, very good football team, and they do a lot of different things on their punt team as well, where they're getting a lot of different formations. So you got to be dialed into your assignments and got to make sure we don't give any more fakes.
And wanted to ask about Jalen Jones, who we spoke to after the game on Saturday, and he specifically mentioned that like his focus is doing good in practice because it's going to carry over to games. So do you like hearing that from your players, that like that is what they are declaring as the thing that matters most to them?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what it is. I mean, you got to carry practice over, because once the ball hits once the foot hits the ball and the whistle blows on Saturdays, I mean, the players are in control, and they got to make the plays and believe what they're seeing. We're not lying to the players as coaches when we show them the game plan, show them what the team is going to do. Everything that JMU did, we prepared for. Just one little wrinkle, they had a Vanderbilt copycat play that we worked on, and they executed that play. So we just got to do a better job of preparation, and then letting that preparation take over on game day consistently for 60 minutes, not for a half. Got to have a complete game, and don't do the costly penalties on defense, the 15-yard penalties, the roughing the passer and the hands to the face. the hands to the face on 3rd and 9 really kept that drive going where Huff could have had a chance to pick the ball off. If we get that, then we may have a shutout going. So, but I thought our defense played outstanding, great effort, great eye discipline, tackled, but got to do it again this week. So
We'll take one more from Billy.
Hey, Coach, just a quick one here. Looking at the App State result with Northwestern, you have to feel comfortable and a little confident about your receiving core and, what their defense allowed. Just talk a little bit about, maybe is this the weekend where the pass really does open up the run?
yeah, it's all about how they play and how we execute. We can't predict and base results on what another team did. We got to go out and pass protect. We got to have a good plan. Got to make throws. We had opportunities in this game to make throws and catches, and we didn't come down with the ball. So it comes down to details, execution, and if we execute in the past games, we have better results. So ultimately, that's my job to make sure we execute at a high level, and players got to get done on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach McGee. Appreciate the time today.
All right, thank y'all.
Yeah, tough loss on the road. A lot of respect for Arkansas State and how they finished the game, and only thing we can do is get back to work and have a better plan in all 3 phases and go to work. And we got a really, really talented, well-coached Troy team coming in here that's much improved from a year ago. And I think defensively, offensively, they're really hitting their stride right now and playing really, really, really well. So we got our work cut out for us for sure. Questions?
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you to ask those questions. We'll start off with Matt.
Hey, Coach. Can you just talk about the message, going in this week after obviously a tough loss like that? What is your message to get the guys back, on track, for this week?
Yeah, I think we just have to go to work and stay together. And you know how that goes when you have a tough loss. There's more opinions on things and things like that. So we have to stay together, focus on ourselves, and focus on a really good Troy team that's coming here for homecoming. We'll have a great crowd, and so we're excited about the opportunity. But really, the message is just going back to work. That's all you can do. You start worrying about this or that, then Arkansas State beat you twice.
Let's go over to Caleb.
Coach, historically, October has been a bit of a speed bump in your career. Do you think that's coincidence, strength of schedule, or are there things that you can improve upon from years past?
I think probably just has to do with Sun Belt play and going on the road. I mean, this is a really tough conference with really good teams, really good coaches, and anybody can beat anybody in the Sun Belt every week. Nobody's good enough to avoid that. So I think it probably just has to do with that more than anything. Just facing really good teams and really good coaches.
Let's go over to Adam.
Coach Kinne, I had one question going back to the game Saturday. It was a 10-10 game, pretty soundly played on both sides in the first half, a scoreless third quarter, and then, everything breaks loose in the fourth quarter. What did you feel was the cause for that, where it was sort of a tightly played game to turning into this offensive back and forth? What were some of the things that you saw that you felt sort of ignited that?
Yeah, I think for us offensively, we come out and score the first drive of the game, and really after that, I mean, give their defense a lot of credit. They had a good plan, but penalties, we got behind the chains. We had a touchdown called back, and then we had a couple first downs called back due to penalties. And so I think we just kind of got behind the chains a little bit, and then we started on the 1 yard line. Really backed up like the 1 inch line actually. And so that's always tough. Then we just kind of got into a rhythm in the second half and we're able to, get things going more. And I think anytime with our tempo, we're usually a second half, fourth quarter, we're able to run the ball and move the ball, and later in the game, just because those snap counts, build up on people. And I think for them, they just kind of got into a rhythm in the pass game, and their quarterback's really talented, and we just didn't. I think for us, we just didn't play complementary football for most of the game, and so that's frustrating. And then obviously we miss a PAT, and they make their PAT, so just tough way to lose.
We'll go back over to Caleb for follow-up.
Yeah, coach. After looking at the film from Saturday, what things, obviously it's a tough loss, but what things looked better than you had initially thought, in your opinion?
I did think we did some good things defensively, like you said, those first three quarters, and we were able to get pressure on the quarterback, and I thought we had a good scheme going in. And then offensively, I thought we ran the ball well. I think Brad continues to play at a high level. I mean, I think we had over 500 yards of offense and no turnovers. So that's really been our key, to this season, was going in, was limit the turnovers. We haven't been good in that area. We're able to run the ball. We've been efficient in the pass game. And that's usually a indicator of, you're going to win the football game. You have over 500 yards of offense and no turnovers, usually win most of those games. So we just got to go back to work and continue to believe and what we're doing, and just got to finish the game. And like I said, that's on coaching more than the players.
We'll take one more here from Adam.
Hey, Coach Kinne, I just wanted to ask you, obviously you got the home game this weekend, a night game against a Troy, coming off a pretty emotional rivalry game win. Just what your team's going to have to do to get ready to turn the page and get ready for that matchup.
Yeah, really good opponent. Have a ton of respect for those guys and what they're doing, really, on both sides of the ball. They give you different looks on defense and offensively, almost a triple option type attack. Really good running backs, big offensive line. Quarterback is tough. You can just tell he's a winner. They believe in him. Really good receivers, tall receivers, some small gadgety type guys that can really take the top off, reverses, speed sweeps. And so they just present a ton of problems, and they're playing really hard. You can tell they're, just you can watch them on film, early in that South game, and you can just feel the energy and physicality that they're playing with, and they're coached well, they're trained well, and it's going to be a tough matchup for us.
Thanks, Coach Kinne. Appreciate the time today.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a really good week for our football team, a much needed week, to have this a little extended kind of bye week, 11 days between games, for two reasons. One, to create improvement in each phase of our game. Defensively, have really worked hard on the run game this week of being able to set edges, being able to improve our tackling on the second and third level and really be gap sound, 100% gap sound. I've had the opportunities when you get a couple extra days to get back into some live work, some tackling opportunities, which has been great. Offensively, being able to really focus in on a run game that has been really effective for us. And then we met James Madison, who did a terrific job and held us to 27 yards in our last game, re-putting a focus on that to be able to support a good quarterback in J.C. French. And then two, just getting your bodies healthy. Having 11 days in between games when you've had 4 weeks of training camp and 5 games, it allows you to get a little bit more fresh. And we probably had our best practice of the year yesterday on a Sunday, which was really a Tuesday practice. Looking forward to this Thursday matchup against a really good Southern Miss team. Got a lot of respect for Coach Huff and Coach Anderson and what they do. And looking forward to being on national TV and putting our best foot forward in Paulson Stadium and having a nice blue out. So going to be a good game for everybody. So looking forward to it. I'll take any questions that you got.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you, obviously, a couple questions about this week's game. Last year, granted, it's just a Coach Huff coach team. Obviously he was at Marshall last year, the Marshall game being such a big, important win for you guys, but the challenges that they presented could be somewhat similar since the offensive style, is a lot of the same imprint. But if there are the similarities, differences, what are some things that you think you're going to need to do to slow down Braylon Braxton and their offensive attack?
Got a lot of respect for Coach Anderson and Coach Huff, two brilliant offensive minds, and then you put Braylon in the mix, and man, he's playing really good ball. I think his last conference loss was actually here in Paulson, and he played a great game that night, and just had a couple turnovers late that allowed us to get back in the ball game. They're doing a really nice job of spreading the field in Blake's offense. Being able to use tempo, and those ultra wide splits that allow a good quarterback and good running back to function inside with their run game, but then have some really talented receivers and tight ends that, once they get the ball in their hands, they can do some special things with them. And I think that's why you're seeing 31 points per game with them. They do have the opportunity to come back to Paulson where, Coach Huff bringing 31 men, 21 players, and 10 coaches. So it's not the first time that they've walked into Paulson Stadium and seen this crowd and the excitement of it. And so it's going to make for a great football game. Got a lot of respect for what they do. We're going to have to play really well defensively because they are one of the best offenses in our conference right now.
And then my second question about the game coming up Thursday night, obviously ESPN2, a national spotlight. You guys a little bit of extra rest, a shortened bye week, bye week, but then a shortened week after. Just the opportunity that it is for Georgia Southern, Statesboro, and everyone to for the national spotlight on the program and the campus.
Yeah, a night game at Paulson is ultra special. We've had two of them already this year where it produced two of the top 20 attended crowds in the history of our program. And so that's what, Statesboro is. It's always been a community football program. The community built this place and they come out for games, and our students have just been absolutely awesome. I've never seen a student section that goes from goal line to goal line right up against the opponent. It's pretty unique and special. And it creates for a great atmosphere. And so to come in and play a really good Southern Miss team on national TV, 8 o'clock game right here in Statesboro, Georgia, you can't get asked for much more as far as when college football comes. So I know our kids are excited about this. Our community is excited about it and should make for a great game.
Let's jump over to Billy.
Hey, Coach, I just had a quick one. Looking at the tape, between Southern Miss and Jacksonville State, common opponent, Jacksonville State was really allowed to have a lot of success with a running quarterback. How do you feel about that tape and, really kind of how JC has grown into this role?
Yeah, I've been really proud of JC as far as, limiting the turnovers right now. I was worried about that going in the James Madison. And so one thing we did do a good job that day was protect the football on a wet day. May have a little bit of rain on Thursday night too. So his ability to protect, I think he's been doing a really good job instead of forcing balls, being able to use his legs. You saw several times this year where he's pulled the ball down and gotten first downs using his legs. I think he's doing a lot better job of that, this year. Southern Miss's defense, I thought, really, created the separation in that Jacksonville State game. You look at what they're doing. They got 10 turnovers on the year. They're averaging 2 turnovers a game, 15 sacks. They're creating havoc. Averaging 3 sacks a game right now. So when you're playing really good offense, really good defense, and good special teams, that's why you see all of a sudden they've got the 3 wins and really are building confidence among not only their team but their fan base. You could see it growing, and it's been not only is their offense being effective, but their defense is causing havoc each and every game.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time today.
Appreciate it, Sam. Hail Southern.
So big opportunity this week going up to James Madison. A really, really good football team. Offensively, they're playing really good football. Scoring points as needed. I think they're averaging about 28 points a game, but they're doing a good job protecting the football, moving the football, taking pressure off their defense, and their defense is playing outstanding. They're not giving up a whole lot in the run game. They make you earn it in the throw game, and they're limiting your ability to score points. So, it's a team that's playing really good. Then you add special teams in there. Last week or 2 weeks ago, they have a kickoff return for a touchdown. So they play really good complementary team football. And that's what I think everybody wants to do. That's the recipe to win. But reality for us, the opportunity to go on the road. We have not played well on the road yet this year. Opportunity for us to go on the road and rectify some of the things that we haven't done very well. Early kickoff in a really good environment over there at James Madison. We haven't, like I said, haven't played well on the road. So get an opportunity to go and do that. Anytime you play a team like this on the road, it's going to take your very best. And, right now, we've got to make sure that we're ready to go because I certainly know they will be.
We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach. You kind of just touched on it with James Madison. I wanted to sort of get into a little bit more about them and what you guys are going to have to be ready for. I wanted to ask you about their backfield. They've had a couple different guys back there. They've a couple injuries, but a couple guys emerging. Just what the differences between their backs and how maybe you have to scheme or prepare differently to prepare each of those, or if it's just still one game plan for the entire backfield.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a different game plan. I think you have to understand kind of who they are and what they do. The two guys that are playing right now, number 3 and 23, those two kids complement each other really well. Number 3's got real juice around the edge. I think the thing about him is it's like the play's never really over. He's got some huge runs on the year where it's bottled up and he's in a pile and it looks like the play's over and then he bounces out and makes something happen, when it looks like there's very little there. Last week I thought 23 ran the ball really well. They ran a bunch of tight zone and stuff like that with him. He's downhill behind his pads. What they do is they kind of wear you down a little bit, and I think their offense really goes whenever they wear you down in the run game and then they'll hit some explosives that all of a sudden gets their offense on fire and they go finish drives and score a touchdown. So, no secret they want to establish the run. They're very good at it. They've done an exceptional job of doing it. And I think those two backs complement each other really well. Now you add the quarterback into there, right? Obviously, with 14, he runs the ball really well, very effective runner, but he manages the offense at a very high level, does not put the ball in jeopardy. He gets out of his hands. He doesn't take sacks, but he'll hurt you with his legs too. I think, for us defensively, we got to tackle better. Early in the year, I thought we did a really good job of tackling. Last couple of weeks, it hadn't been as good. And it shows up on the tape. They're going to force you to tackle. They're going to get the ball to the safeties and they're going to make the safeties get in there and go tackle them. If you make the play, it's an average gain. If they make you miss, which they've shown they can do, it turns into a really big one. So they put a lot of pressure on you on defense because they're going to test your run fits over and over and over again. And then when they pop them, they finish drives and go down and score. And then you add the play action shots on top of that, where, it's a good offense. They play really sound football. They don't screw it up. They don't turn it over. They don't give you the ball in a short field, and they make you play every down. So it's, defensively, I don't know. It's a different game plan. Back to back, I think you got to kind of understand what those guys are and what their strengths are. But it's a good football team, man. And this offense is really well put together.
Let's jump over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. Just kind of curious, coming off the bye week, you have that really emotional win at home against Marshall. What were kind of the key focuses over the last week and really kind of preparing for the offensive unit that you just described?
It's fundamentals. I think if you want to be really good at something, you have to be able to do the fundamental things really well. And it's irrelevant to who you play. Yes, you get a little bit of a jump start on James Madison, but the reality, it's not just about one game. There's a lot of things that we have to clean up. In defense, we work tirelessly on tackling fundamentals and getting in position and making sure that we're coaching the things that it takes to tackle better. Takeaway circuit, we've got to get more takeaways on defense. On offense, we worked a lot on ball security. We got to continue to protect the football. We had tons of indie time every day to make sure we're working on the individual techniques it takes by position to go and play better on the back half of the year. So, yeah, some of it, as a coaching staff, we get more of a jump on the opponent as a team with our players. It's more about what we need to do to play better. And the reality of it is, more football games are lost than are won. You go out there and you don't do things the way that you expect to do them, and you lose football games. You turn the ball over. You don't tackle well. You don't block with proper fundamentals. We've talked about it in this press conference, on these Mondays. in games that we've lost, one game it's 10 or 8 penalties on offense. And it's like, well, hell, I mean, you're not going to win games when you do that. It doesn't matter who you play. So it's, yeah, as coaching staff, we try to get a jump, but as players and with your team, man, you just want to focus on what do we have to do to play better the second half of the year. And for us right now, we have a lot of new faces in there that early in the year maybe weren't playing at all or as much. So yeah, I mean, that's been a big point of emphasis for us, is just doing the fundamental things a whole lot better.
Thanks, Coach Des. Appreciate the time today.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Good to see everybody again. Week by week, they slowly disappear. Listen, what a huge night for Troy. Certainly ended in celebration and getting the 10th win in the series and a huge rivalry. I said it after the game. I'll say it again. What a great night for Sunbelt football. What a great night for a great college football rivalry that is just wonderful for both communities to have and be a part of. And a really neat moment for it to go to overtime and end the way it did. Very proud of our entire operation for the resilience it takes to win in overtime and to battle in a game, and would also again say what a tremendous effort by South Alabama. Their coaches, staff, players were certainly ready to play and play well here on the road. With that, I thought in all three phases we complemented each other very well in that football game. Our penalties were low. We played enough defense to get the job done. Our special teams was a big difference, I thought, in the game. The phase of punt return specifically really flipped the field and changed the game in starting field position. And offensively, we found some more efficiencies and explosive plays that allowed us to come through with a win. So very happy moving forward quickly to a great opponent this week. But with that, I'll take questions.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start it off with Matt.
Hey, Coach, this is Matt Gerard with Mike Farrell Sports. Congratulations on the win. Wanted to ask you real quick about obviously coming off on a very emotional win for you guys. Texas State coming off an emotional loss for them. This week is homecoming. Can you just speak to the emotions of this game and the challenges that presents for you guys?
Well, I think great question, and I mean this. I think the biggest piece for me is understanding that emotions and the human elements are real. You can't really remove them. It's my job as the head coach, though, to try as best we can to remove them. I told our football team for our rivalry week, this is not about emotion. This is about execution and preparation. And the messaging that way can be the same going into another huge game and huge week for us on the road against Texas State. So to answer your question, it is, as much as we can, we have to remove our human elements and emotions of it and understand we're process driven. And the only way we're going to be prepared to win a tough road game will be execution and preparation. And that's going to be my message yet again this week.
Let's go over to Caleb.
Coach, with this being the last time for the foreseeable future that y'all will face Texas State in the Sun Belt, is there any extra motivation to, get that win and revenge from last year's game?
And I'm being honest, I don't think so. I think it's certainly, the guys know it. They're going to be aware of it anyway. It's not something I would bring more attention to. This is a tough league. Every week is hard. This one's going to be extremely hard on the road. I think if you start making these about different things, you end up riding some good emotions from one week and then fall apart maybe and lose some emotional stability in the next. The guys are aware. They're certainly aware of what happened in our game here at home last year, and they got after us pretty good and beat us here. So they're aware of that, but I will not give more attention maybe per se that this is the last chance for a while, more just in that this is the next great opponent that we have a challenge of playing.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. Just wanted to hit on, Tucker Kilcrace. What a game, what a performance. How have you seen his growth throughout the year and really kind of headed into the back half of this schedule? You have to like where your quarterback is able to make those decisions and had the interception, but, overall really leading that offensive unit.
Yeah, I could, I'm extremely happy for him and our football team. And I'll say this, I think that it goes a long way in him being able to manage failure and play at a high level after failure, during it, and all those things, and not letting it affect the next play, if you will, or how he played during the game. I think that's his biggest, the biggest compliment is how he managed bad plays and stepping up and making some huge plays down the stretch, both in run game and pass. His preparation has been excellent. He's wired better to manage success and failure, which has given him self-confidence. His teammates believe in him, and he's taking steps towards better and has done so each and every week. And that's all you can ask of your players. And I think that's a testament to him and his approach, his teammates' belief in him, and certainly our coaches. And I'm very happy and proud for him.
We'll go back to Caleb for a follow-up.
Coach, when you're first looking at Texas State initially, what is your analysis of the team? What part of their team are you staying most vigilant for?
Well, to compliment them, I think all three phases you see great scheme, and their guys play extremely hard, like all really good football teams do. Offensively, they're explosive. They put you in space. They're averaging a ton of yards and a ton of points, and they put the ball all over the field, led by a quarterback that can beat you with throw and run, which makes it very difficult to prepare for. Defensively, their defensive front is very physical. They play out of a 4-down front and try to beat you up. And their second-level player linebackers are really good, and same to their secondary. Their run, they're very athletic. They've done a great job building their roster. So, and the kicking game has the same complement. So it's a three-phase approach that's very well coached and will be a huge challenge for us.
Thanks, Coach Parker. Appreciate the time today.
Yep. Thank you all.
Yeah, it's been it was a good time for us to have a bye week. We were a little bit beat up, but had a great week of practice last week, and obviously the little extra time to prepare for Old Dominion, which is a really good football team right now. So playing at a high level, and we're gonna have a work cut out for us. So it's gonna be a challenge.
We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. Started off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach Gibson, obviously, the challenge that presents itself, you guys get Old Dominion at home, but, a lot of people are looking at Colton Joseph, the offense, and a lot of things they do, but what about their defense, concerns you, and is something you're going to need to really work on to be able to be effective against them this weekend?
Yeah, Blake does a really good job defensively with those guys. I mean, they're not giving up a lot of points. They're sound. They tackle really well. They're aggressive. And it's a little bit, it's different. They play the 3 high safety look, bring different guys in the box to stop the run. So, but they're coached really well. And again, they haven't given up a lot of points to anybody all year long. So, I think they held Indiana to 27 points or something like that. And the next week, Indiana goes out and scores 60 on Illinois. So, they're playing at a high level on both sides of the ball, but defensively, they're really good as well.
Let's go over to Tyler.
Coach, just generally speaking, just how'd you feel about the bye with, maybe maintaining momentum for offense and the thoughts of, looking back on yourself defensively?
Yeah, we've done a lot of self-scout, over the last week, and, just got to fix some things defensively, obviously. And offensively, like you said, just keep our momentum going. We've had a lot of guys step up on offense the last couple games, and excited about that. Excited where Carlos is at right now. He's playing at a high level, so we have to keep that up, and then we got to get our defense, buttoned up and make sure that we're not making mistakes and kill ourselves, and that's the biggest thing. And we can't have so many penalties. I mean, we had 12 penalties in the last game on both sides of the ball, so a lot went into that as well.
We'll take our next question from Billy.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned looking at things from the bye week and, really trying to move forward, you guys have really found a lot of success running the ball, whether that be, Carlos moving outside the pocket or, Mike Allen really kind of coming into his own. How important do you think that will be? You've seen it a lot across college football this year where, offense's ability to stay on the field and limit what other teams are able to do. How important is that going to be where you limit how much time, Colton and that ODU offense has the ball?
Yeah, that's going to be huge. And, we have to play ball control in this game. You can't turn it over. We can't go 3 and out. We have to be able to sustain drives. And special teams is going to be a big factor in this game as well. So, but definitely we have to be able to run the football. And, I think that's who we are as an offense. I mean, our run game opens everything else up for us. And we have to be able to stay on the field and convert on third downs and all that. So we cannot be sloppy on offense and go 3 and out, because if you do, you can look up and you're going to be down 21-0. So, it's a scary group we're playing. And again, we have to do our part on all 3 phases of this game to make sure we could stay in this thing.
Let's go back to Adam.
Coach, you just touched on it a little, but the challenge for your defense against a quarterback like Colton Joseph, he can move with his legs, but obviously throw the ball. So a lot of weapons at his disposal. So what are some of the things that you're going to have to do to keep your defense disciplined and pick your times to attack?
Yeah, we're going to have to, be really sound in coverage. But again, you have to pick your poison. If you load the box up, I mean, he can beat you throwing the ball. And if you're dropping a bunch of guys out in coverage, now you have to worry about him running. And, there's times too where people have him defended perfectly and he just makes a play. He'll outrun people. He'll get leverage on the defense and rip off an 80-yard run for a touchdown. So, we have to make sure that we play very sound football. I mean, with their offensive scheme or what they're doing, they spread you from sideline to sideline and get you in space. So, we're going to have to do a great job in space tackling people and being able to shut down this run game first. That's going to be our goal.
Let's go back over to Tyler.
Coach, just from talking to AD Harrison last week, just generally talking about the positives of having this one at home. I guess, big crowd, you guys get to come back. I guess can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it's going to be good. We haven't played home in a month, so this is our first. This is another first for me. This is our first Sun Belt game at home. So hopefully our crowd will be out. It's supposed to be a beautiful day, so hopefully we'll pack this place. And our goal is to try to get to 30,000 and see if we can get some noise in here and help us out, get the 12th man effect.
Thanks, Coach Gibson. Appreciate your time today.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, guys, how you doing? My name is Marcus Lovings, Coach Jones at the Little Rock Touchdown Club, speaking to the great state of Arkansas today. So I'm just filling in for him. Just by the game, man, I thought we showed, great resolve as a team. Man, we just kept punching. I mean, we really did. We overcame 3 fourth quarter deficits. I thought we showed great competitive character. And so we really managed, critical down execution really well, both on the offensive defensive side. And, it was really a tale of 2 halves. I thought the defense came out early and responded, and no one thought it was going to be 10-10 at halftime. And then, offense in the fourth quarter, we scored 21 points to manage to win it. So we're really excited around here. Very positive atmosphere in the locker room after the game, and we did what many thought we couldn't do. So great game by the Red Wolves.
We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. Let's go over to Adam to start it off.
Hey, Coach Lovings, I asked Coach Kinne the same question, but I wanted to get your idea of, the way you said you didn't expect the game to be, 10-10 per se at halftime, and then third quarter goes scoreless, and then everything just erupts in the fourth quarter. Where did you feel like the game turned in from that, steady field position type game into an offensive just juggernaut seesaw battle?
Well, they came out and scored first. They swung the first punch. They took the ball and they went down 7-0, and we went 3 and out. And so, just as a team right now, confidence and all that stuff, I was really happy our kids, battled and responded and hung in there. I think going into halftime, 10-10 at halftime, I think that was really big for our kids to play against one of the best in the Sun Belt and to be tied at half. I really do. And so, we came out in the second half, and that fourth quarter, man, that was just an ESPN top 10, 30 for 30 type of fourth quarter. I don't think that many teams could be down 3 straight times in the fourth quarter and find a way to come back. And then, you talk about a minute left in the game, and, you charge down the field, and just what an awesome, awesome day if you were there to see it or watch it on TV. You watched, a miracle, but you watch guys who kept fighting, and the competitive character that we want around here showed, and just the belief and the resolve.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach Lovings. I feel like I talk to Coach Jones every week about Jalen and his performance and just how he continues to grow. With a lot of the season still ahead of you, what does a game like this not only do for his resolve, but I guess kind of the confidence of the whole offensive unit of, this is our guy moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of our team captains. He's definitely one of our leaders. Everybody looks toward him. Everybody loves Jalen. He takes the offensive line out, out to eat. He's one of our leaders. He breaks down, our huddle. He goes down, tells what we're doing on the coin toss, whether we want to keep the ball, defer, which way we want to kick it. This guy is Mr. Red Wolf, we'll go as far as he takes us. I just thought, like, for his game, he really showed his legs, what he can do being a dual threat quarterback. And then again, I think he had like 20 straight completions at one point. I mean, who's ever heard of that? Sometimes we can't even do that in practice. So just an awesome, awesome day for him. And he just kept battling, and showed his dual threat ability. And we're all proud of Jalen, and we'll do whatever we can to make sure he has success on Saturdays.
Jump back over to Adam.
Hey, Coach, this might be the last time we get to talk with you or Coach Jones before next week's game. The kind of a bye week. You're not going to play on a Saturday, but then you're going to jump into a national TV game on the road on a Tuesday. What sort of things changes with your preparations, but also what do you have to do to be ready to go on the road and play a South Alabama team for another West Division game?
Yeah, we get our kids about 48 hours to 72 hours just to kind of maybe relax for a couple of days. But for us coaches, man, it's full speed ahead. It really is. We're taking the time to recruit, taking the time to jump ahead and get ahead on film, making sure our guys are taking care of their body in terms of going to cryo and getting massages and getting the cold tubs. Just making sure we're taking care of our body. And we'll hit the ground running. We'll treat Wednesday like a Sunday, and then every day, to that is game day or leading up to game day next Tuesday. So we're really hitting the ground running. Guys are going to class. We had study hall last night, so it's kind of status quo as far as that stuff goes there. But we're just trying to get a little jump ahead with the extra day or two of preparation that we do have.
Let's go back to Billy.
Yeah, Coach, just kind of a quick follow-up to similar to Adam's question there. What do you see from that South Alabama team? And then, how do you feel like you guys match up scheme-wise in all 3 phases?
Well, they're a very tough ball club down in Mobile. I think Coach Major does a great job, and they'll be ready for us on a Tuesday. It should be a good game. I mean, last year's game went down to the wire, a 2-minute drive. And so I expect, similar, very competitive game. We just got to come out and compete and get ready to go and put together a great game plan, which we will this week. And we have a couple extra days, so we can't, get outside of ourselves. But, man, it should be a good game on Tuesday night. I know Coach Major will have them ready. We'll have our guys ready and go have a great game on Tuesday night in front of a national audience.
Thanks, Coach Lovins. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. I thought our guys played really well, in all 3 phases. And, continue to play hard and continue to play with a passion that they, love the game of football. And, that's been rewarding. So we have a very, very, very tough game this week. Marshall is a incredible team. And, Coach Gibson does a great job. You can see those guys playing hard. And they play physical and hard, and they're flying around, and they've really been making a lot of plays lately. So it's going to be a good test for us, and we know how hard it is to play in Huntington. So we got to prepare each day, and obviously that's the task at hand right now.
We'll open up now for questions for our media. Please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach Rahne, obviously a convincing victory for you guys Saturday, but some of the things with your offense that really, your guys played really well in space, it seemed like, when they got the ball in their hands, and made things really difficult on Coastal. It felt like they were chasing you guys down the field, but especially in the first half. But what were some of the things that you felt, in addition to that, made those opportunities possible for you guys?
Well, I think that two things, or really three. One, I thought we did a nice job of designing the plays and calling the plays. I think that we did a nice job there, and so that was a major benefit. I think that number two, our offensive line did an unbelievable job of blocking and getting us into those spaces. And then I think three, Colton did a nice job of making decisions, and sometimes he got himself in space, sometimes he got our running backs in space, sometimes he got our wideouts in space. But his decision making and the conviction in which he's making those decisions and the speed at which he's making those are allowing our guys to get in space. And then, last one, you got some good players, and so they can make plays, and you get them in space, and it's going to be, tough to bring some of those guys down. So I guess that was four. I guess that was four, not three. That's on me. Yeah.
Got a bonus one there. Yeah. All right, Billy, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. We've talked a little bit, back and forth about explosives on both sides of the ball. Your defense only allowed 2 plays over 13 yards. Have to love that defensive effort, but just talk about the mentality and the way your defense kind of really seemed to lock in for all 4 quarters.
Yeah, I thought we did some really good things. I mean, we had. You talked about how we limited them on their explosive plays. I think we gave up only 5% of explosive plays. And if you're giving up less than 9%, you're doing some good work there. But then we also created, I think it was 17.81% of negative yardage plays, which is incredible. And when you combine it with our ability to create explosive plays at 20% on our offense, we were at 20.81. I think that it puts a lot of pressure on the other team. Right. I mean, you need, because we're able to create explosive plays. It makes the other team, want to find ways to create them. And our defense is doing a great job of limiting them and making the guys drive the whole field. We're playing great red zone defense. So that's really contributing to that as well. And so, I think that our guys are playing hard. They're playing disciplined with their eyes, and then they're tackling. And that's been the big factors.
Let's go back over to Adam.
Coach Rahne, one of the advantages to, winning by a wide margin is, and especially in the second half, you guys got to play a lot of different guys who maybe don't always get to touch the field. But were there a few guys that you felt, even with that opportunity that they got, may have earned themselves a few more snaps as the season goes by down the road, or guys who just really, popped to you that you were like, wow, he got his shot and I was impressed. I could tell he was ready when the bell rang.
There's quite a few of those guys. I mean, and some of them have had to play for us in bigger roles. I mean, you got a guy like Jackson Forrest, getting a strip sack, fumble, and then recovering it. And he's had to step up and play. I thought Bull did a nice job. And obviously he caught the 80-yard touchdown, which was big. But he also ran the ball well. But then he also had he played really well on special teams. He had a tackle inside the 20 on a kickoff. He almost had another one. And so those guys there's some guys stepping up. But I think in general, I've been talking a long time about our depth and how our depth is probably the number one thing with our team. And I think it keeps showing up each and every week.
Go ahead, Billy.
Hey, Coach, just curious your thoughts on, going on the road, playing a tough Marshall team in Huntington. Just your overall thoughts about that matchup and going on the road.
Yeah, somebody else asked me about this before, and this is why the Sun Belt Conference is the best conference to coach in, because you get passionate fan bases all the time, and we get, big crowds and people are fired up, and it is hard to go play on the road in this conference. It just is. And so it's a major challenge for us, and we know Huntington, they're going to be ready to go. They're going to be ready to go. And I know that the fan base and the crowd and the city have really rallied around Coach Gibson. And, so it's going to be packed, and it's going to be loud, and it's going to be an environment that our guys are going to really enjoy playing in.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Yep. Thank you.
How you guys doing? Apologize for being behind there. I thought Ricky would go a lot longer since he had a big win. I figured he'd want to tell all his great stories, but apologize for that. Appreciate you guys being here. Great opportunity coming off a bye week. We were able to get some things adjusted or added schematically. We had a plan, kind of how we wanted to start the season schematically, things we wanted to add or adjust during the bye week. We were able to do that. We were also able to get some recruiting done, which obviously is a big piece of what we are trying to build here from the high school and junior college ranks, get out to see some of those kids in some of our areas. And then also we got a challenging opponent coming up this weekend, or this Thursday, on a short week. Georgia Southern's a phenomenal football team. Got a lot of respect for Coach Helton. He's done it at a really high level for a long time. I know his guys will be prepared. It's really difficult to go win on the road. So we've got to take advantage of the opportunities we have to go out and play really well Thursday.
Thanks, Coach Huff. We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you. We'll start off with Justin.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned some adjustments you made over the bye week. Can you elaborate? What exactly were you looking to adjust over the week, over the last week?
Well, do you want us to give the game plan away? I mean, are you going to be at the game Thursday? I mean, obviously there are things that there's steps to your schematics, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Some of the things that we've wanted to get to, you can't move on to step 2 until your kids have mastered step 1. So some of the things that we wanted our guys to have a really good understanding of in all 3 phases, we felt like they've had a good understanding of. Now we can add a little more. Not to the point to where you're overloading them, but you got to master step 1, and some of those things are fundamental and technique wise. Some of those things are schematic wise. If you don't understand how to add, it's going to be really difficult to learn how to do algebra. So some of the things that we've wanted to add or expand to is probably a better way to say it. We needed the foundation of the first 4 or 5 games to say, okay, hey, we've played this schematic mechanic, for X, Y, and Z long. Now we need to be able to add, this variation to it. So I felt like we were able to do that in the bye week, which, is a good time to kind of slow some things down and actually kind of teach again. Sometimes you get into the season and there's so much game plan that you don't get a lot of chance to teach. We were able to do that.
Justin, go ahead with your follow-up.
And moving on to this Thursday, what challenges does Georgia Southern present to you guys?
Yeah, well, first, I think, from Little League all the way to the NFL, if you got a quarterback, you got a chance. And they've got a good one. A lot of respect for, JC and what he's been able to do there. You can tell he understands the system. The coaches trust him with the system. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly. He's an efficient runner. He's not afraid to put his shoulder down and go get the yards. He's mobile enough to cause you problems. And then he does a really good job with his pre-snap mechanics. He knows where the ball should be going before it's snapped. So you got to be able to kind of react quickly as a defense and try to put yourself in the best position. And then defensively, they're big. I think they've done a really good job of recruiting the front 7 or developing the front 7, however you want to look at it. And they're big and they're long and they're hard to move, so they cause you issues defensively, with trying to control the box. They do a really good job with their third down pressures, mixing up where it's coming from. And then special teams wise, their returner has been really, really good. He split one against Jacksonville State that was really, really good. He's had some other ones where he's putting his foot in the ground and get vertical. So there's a lot of weapons on their team. And what we've got to be able to do, I don't think you can take everything away. You got to figure out, which way do you want to bleed tonight? You take one thing away, you expose yourself to something else. So you got to kind of balance the two. I think you got to play with really good fundamentals and techniques because it all comes down to blocking and tackling, which they make it very hard to do with their skill sets.
Let's go over to Heath.
Yeah, Coach, last road game, you talked about how the preparation for the team, you didn't like what you were seeing. How do you feel the preparation for the team has been this week heading into this road game?
Yeah, I think it's been good. That doesn't guarantee that we go down there and play a phenomenal game. It just means that we've prepared, the first couple of days that we've had an opportunity to prepare, for them the right way, which again, that leads to how we prepare today, then tomorrow, and then we got to go play really well. I think we learned from last road game. That doesn't mean that we've cured it, but we've definitely learned that we got to prepare the same way every week. I've liked where we started. Today will be a big test, but I've definitely liked where we started. I think, again, we've got a lot of older guys on this team, and the more maturity your team has, the less repetitive conversations you have to have. I mean, they're still kids, but we haven't had to go back and remind us of what happened a couple of weeks ago. We haven't had to do that. So I've been really pleased with where we are. And we've got to continue that. And then we got to go play well, right? There's a difference between preparation and execution. We've got to prepare really well to give ourselves a chance to go execute well. You can't have, execution without good preparation. So we got to start where we can start and understand that we still got to carry it into the arena and play really well in a tough environment. I think Polson's one of the better environments in college football. They do a great job with their fans. It's one of those places where if anybody knows the game is not over, the fans are right up on top of you. It's a really good college football environment. So we got to go play well in that arena.
Heath, go ahead with your follow-up.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you coming up bye week, how are you health wise as a group? I know you have some guys.
Yeah, I
get
feel
dinged
really
up
good,
last
man. I'm
week.
down to about 255. I'm walking every day. I hit 225 on the bench the other day. BA had me in there. I thought it was going to pin me. So I feel pretty good, man. I'm glad you asked. Honestly, we're in a good spot. I mean, the good Lord has blessed us. The bye week came at a good time just because some of the times you're not necessarily injured, but we've had some guys that played every snap of offense and defense, just the reality of it. So giving them some time to kind of take a little bit of the banging off, not even just from games, but from practice and lifting and conditioning, that deal is really, really good. I feel good about where we are, as far as the guys who've played most of the season for us are still in a good health position. Some of the guys that had the bumps and bruises that allowed them to play at, 92% or 97%, were able to catch their breath. So the good Lord's blessed us. But thanks for asking. I feel pretty good. I think I'm going to try to get down to 255 by the end of the season. So thanks.
Thanks, Coach Huff. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys. You have a great day.
Yeah, proud of the way our guys played and battled. Disappointed in the result of our battle for the belt. Always want to give credit to your opponent. Thought they played well in critical situations to win that ball game, but just disappointed we didn't do what we needed to do in regulation and in overtime. But want to give credit where credit's due. Excited about the opportunity to play at home now. Been on the road a couple of weeks. Glad to get back home. Playing a very good Arkansas State team after a big win at home against Texas State. Different defense, a lot of weapons on offense. Getting ready for them will be a challenge.
We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start it off with Craig Stevenson.
Hey, Major, what do you got to do to play winning football on offense, you think, that you're not doing right now?
We got to be more aggressive in the earlier part of the game. I felt like yesterday or day before, we took care of the football, got in the red area, one time, scored, didn't do a great job when we got a turnover to start the second half, or excuse me, a takeaway to start the second half. We didn't cash in on that. Ran into some bad looks, forced a 3rd and long, didn't have a great call on 3rd and long, forced a field goal. We needed to answer and score there, go 14-14. So, Better at taking care of the ball Saturday, but in terms of playing winning football teams, when they get a turnover at the 35, they capture that momentum out of halftime and they score and they even the score up. Winning football, got to be more aggressive. It's the old, scared money don't make money. So you got to be aggressive on first and second down and take those shots and opportunities. And sometimes they're going to get caught. They made a great play, late in the fourth quarter on a shot play that set up a score. Sometimes they're going to get caught. Sometimes there's going to be pass interferences. Sometimes you're just going to serve the purpose of backing people off of you. So we have to be more aggressive on that part of it. And then we got to execute. We can't walk out of games with 4 and 5 motion penalties and holdings and say, man, we should have won that game. That's not the signs or the symptoms of a winning football team, is to have those number of penalties. Winning football teams don't hit late before half and extend a drive. So there was some beating of ourselves there right before the end of the first half, and beating of ourselves offensively when we got a takeaway from a defensive standpoint early in the third quarter. And then I think we as coaches, talking to the players this morning, we got to do a better job of giving you opportunities, and you got to execute when we do give them to you.
Yeah, your offense, since you've been there, you guys have routinely taken those deep shots, and you haven't done it as much. Is it more of a case hasn't been open, quarterback makes a wrong read, receiver, that sort of thing, or just not being called enough, or all of the above?
It is all of the above, but I believe we have to give our players more opportunities. And you have to do it at the right time. And when you do it, you have to protect it. We took some shots and we had to run out of them a couple times as a quarterback because of protection. We took a shot early in the ball game, and we've got to see one that's open. We tried a shot and they had a well-timed blitz. I think we're going to get on the flea flicker, but they have a well-timed blitz. They make a good play. Unfortunately, the quarterback's able to throw the ball and get it away. We're able to continue on with that drive and score a touchdown. But I think, to be fair, we need to take more opportunities and be more aggressive in the early part of the game. I think that will help us going into halftime and more momentum into the second half.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Let's go over to Adam.
Coach Applewhite, this might be the last time I get to speak to you before you guys take the field against Arkansas State. But you guys are going to have that opportunity at home, national TV spotlight. But what are some of the things you're going to have to do to slow down their offense, which hit a second gear there in the fourth quarter in their last game, but specifically the quarterback, Jalen Rahne?
Well, I mean, he's playing at a high level. He sees, excuse me, he sees the field very well. You can see that on some of the third down conversions, feeling comfortable sitting in the pocket, working off progressions, getting to the backside of reads. He can tuck the ball. He can make you pay as a runner. The receivers are fundamental. You see them catch the ball, put the ball away, where they play well without the football. They block for their skill players, create big plays down the field. So it's really, it's a lot of people, doing a lot of things the right way that can make a quarterback look really, really good. And I think he's really good to begin with. But when you've got players doing what they're supposed to do, whether they're supposed to get the ball or not get the ball around him, you've got backs that are running hard. I think they can be a very tough group to corral.
All right. Thanks, Coach Applewhite. Appreciate the time today.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.